Formula 1 circus rolls on to the Temple of Speed. It is the Italian Grand Prix here at Monza. And speaking of straight line speed, we have an outcome to the FIA's investigation into whether or not Renault were running an illegal power unit throughout the course of this season. This was all brought about thanks to the sheer straight line speed that Renault was producing throughout the entirety of the season, and it was catching the eye of many teams. However, Red Bull were the team that were most unhappy with this and decided to go ahead and launch a full protest after conducting some investigations into Renault's power unit. The FIA, however, have dismissed Red Bull's protest against Renault, and the FIA have confirmed that Renault are doing nothing wrong and that their engine is in fact legal. Alan Prost has welcomed the news that has been brought out by the FIA and hopes to put to bed any form of issues with regards to Renault's power unit. Alan Prost has gone out and once again reiterated that the reason that the Renault PU was so strong was due to the fact that they were not expected to run as a manufacturing team, albeit they were only expected to be an engine manufacturer, which is why they focus all of the development on that section. Christian Horner, though, doesn't share the same form of opinion, and Horner has stated that Red Bull will not give up on their protest with Renault. So expect Christian Horner and the Red Bull team to come back in again and try and find new ways of finding out if that Renault engine is in fact legal or not. Taking a look at the race news then, heading into the Italian Grand Prix, it was McLaren and Ferrari that set the pace here at Italy, and they were looking very, very strong, with Red Bull slightly lacking in terms of straight line speed, which may be a little bit of a disadvantage as they go into this Grand Prix weekend. One team that is very much favourite to have a very strong weekend is Renault, but coming out from the team itself and from Tom, he's not expecting anything spectacular from the team. In fact, Tom believes that Renault will struggle around this circuit. It's very hard to think of that considering the circuit is the fastest on the calendar, but he believes with all of the high-speed corners that are still on the circuit, it's going to make it very challenging for Renault to maximise their car through those corners whilst maintaining the same straight line speed in which other teams could run by having a skinnier rear wing. Lewis Hamilton was happy with the setup work that he's done here at the Italian Grand Prix, and that clearly showed with himself setting the fastest time in FP2, helping Ferrari to resurge to the top of the timings. And the teams are facing a chance of rain in qualifying. There is no rain expected for the race, but the weather is going to turn a little bit dim throughout the entirety of Saturday. Whether that rain is going to take effect or whether it won't is another matter. So let's get straight into qualifying and the race for the Italian Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Foxydude here. Welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of the F1 Journey. We are here for round number 13. This is the Italian Grand Prix, and it is a wet qualifying here at Monza. If you ever enjoyed the video, feel free to drop it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And let's get straight on into qualifying then. So as you can see, on our first flying lap here, heading down towards the Ascari chicane here, going to brake at the 100 meter board in these cars, getting a nice run through here, kind of a little bit easy, taking a lot of curbing, but it actually unsettles us quite a bit there, and we go off the circuit into the gravel. Luckily no damage, luckily we didn't spin there either, but that was not an ideal run through the Ascari chicane, and we're going to have to try again and set a better lap time here, as a lot of drivers beginning to set their lap times as we press our way now towards the start finish line, and we're going to have to go again for another run there. So there's our first lap. Obviously it's absolutely dreadful, but we of course have got time to make up, and that's exactly what we do on our next run here through Ascari. This time getting it absolutely spot on, but still not improving by loads. I know it's 1 second up, but we were 2/10 down going into the middle sector on the lap, so we definitely are still losing some time here as the back end slides a little bit through the parabolica now as we go onto the straight here, taking a lot of curve on the exit there, cross the start finish line, and it's only good enough for 9th place. Of course, qualifying definitely one of our weaknesses here, but right at the end of the session now, we're improving by another second here, and we need to, because we're currently in last place at the moment. We don't get the best run through parabolica, but taking that wider run actually does gain us about a 10th or so on our previous best lap here. So where's this going to put us in comparison to the rest of the field? It's going to be P12 on the grid. Alright, so I know you probably were thinking, why have I paused it or paused the screen here when it comes to 3 red lights? Well, to my knowledge, whilst editing the video now, the entirety of me choosing my strategy was fully corrupted. So, as you can see on your screens, we are on the medium compound tyres. The plan of action is to start on the medium compound tyres. We're then then going to make the move to the soft compound tyres and do something different. We're in P12, we're in a good position if we can keep up with the leaders, and of course all we need is the slipstream and DRS to do that. It's going to put us in a better position at the end of the race when everybody else are on the medium tyres and we're on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. So apologies that you couldn't actually see me adjusting the strategy to do that, but of course it would be very weird if I just went straight off of the intro into we've got 3, 4, 5 red lights. So that is where we're at. Let's get straight into this race then, and it's now lights out and away we go then for the start of the Italian Grand Prix here. A little bit of a good, actually quite good getaway from us, considering we're on those medium compound tyres here, making our way down in towards turn 1 here. Going to go nice and late on the brakes, get a couple of cars here. A little bit of contact made, unfortunately, with Max Verstappen. I broke a bit too late going into turn 1 there, so we're going to give the position back here to Sergio Perez, because unfortunately we just went a little bit too deep into there, and unfortunately we just can't really accept having that position on Sergio Perez, when realistically we probably got enough to get past Sam and also Gasly, but not enough to get past Sergio Perez now, as we make our way down in towards the first of the Lesmos for the first time here in this Grand Prix. And already look at the drivers just blasting away now as Sam tries to have a look into the second Lesmo. That puts me off a little bit. I have to adjust the steering slightly, and now as we go on the run down towards Ascari here straight away, you can just see the AIs are absolutely blasting clear now as Gasly has a little run at Sam in towards Ascari. If he can go to the outside, he should make that one stick here, as we get a very nice and clean run actually through there, and Gasly does make it stick then. So it is now ourselves in P10, Gasly is P11, and then in front of us is the rest of the pack here with the Ferrari currently out front at the moment. So we need to keep pressing onwards now in this Grand Prix as Lewis Hamilton then, it's not Charles Leclerc, there is not a names mod that, well, there is a names mod that works, but I've pre-recorded a bunch of these videos, so yeah, you're not going to see that. But what you are going to see is the race start. So 5 red lights go on here and they go off, and it's a very good start for Lewis Hamilton. But we'll get on to Hamilton's start in just a moment and see how he actually managed to go ahead and make that start. So as we go down towards turn 1 here, we got a very nice run here on quite a lot of the drivers, but unfortunately we went in a bit too deep there. We actually made contact with Verstappen. So all in all, I think we probably definitely secured the moves on Gasly and Sam, so I let the Mercedes back through. Now, Lewis Hamilton on the front row of the grid here gets a brilliant start versus Reese, who started on pole position here, and he's already into the lead to the Italian Grand Prix, and the home crowd are going to go absolutely wild over that one here as they go into the chicane here. Reese actually does try and fight this one back, but Lewis Hamilton on the outside there gets a better run, and he is through. And this is on board then with Charles Leclerc here, and let's have a look at his start then. So Leclerc gets a start, and it's an absolutely beautiful one here versus Stoffel Van Dorn, and he's got the outside line here against Lando Norris now going in towards the first chicane, and he's going to have the space to go for it now. So at this stage, he's past Van Dorn. Would he get past Lando Norris and all this? Not quite, no, but he was very aggressive there, and it's a good start though. But on the end of the first lap now here, start of lap 2, this is Reese in the second place at the moment for McLaren. He's going to try and have a look here at Lewis Hamilton for the lead of the Italian Grand Prix and take that one back off of the Ferrari, driving there into the first chicane. They go down the inside goes Reese on Lewis Hamilton, round the outside does Reese. He's got a better run there than Lewis Hamilton, who unfortunately tucks himself to the inside of that chicane. It's not a great place to defend, and Reese then retakes the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. Lap 3 of the Grand Prix though. And for us now, we've got our teammate Pierre Gasly hunting us down, and he really wants to try and steal this position off of us. As you can see here, there goes Gasly for a run here down in towards this Sky chicane. It's a very simple one. DRS has now been enabled, and unfortunately I've got nothing to fight with on that front as we go on through. We go super wide there through Ascari, clipping the gravel as we go on through, pushing really hard to try and keep up with these runners. But unfortunately now we're under some pressure here from Sam and the Red Bull, who is unfortunately himself a little bit out of position in this Grand Prix, forcing wide though through Parabolica. It's a nice run though for Pierre Gasly. Will we get DRS though on Gasly through this section of corners now as we go onto the start finish straight here? We do, but look at that, we're just getting absolutely mugged here in a straight line now versus Sam, and also I believe that is Nick De Vries there that's just breezed past us down the straight there. So absolutely no chance of us taking that position. If there's any confirmation that our Renault engine is 100% legal, I think all you got to do is just look at that footage right there. But of course our ERS is really low at the moment and we just can't use it, so that could potentially be another reason why. Lap 4 of the Grand Prix though, and once again here through Ascari going wide on the exit there, just not getting the grip in this car at the moment. It just isn't working for me. And as you can see, we've now got the Ford of Mick Schumacher trying to go for it down the inside into the Parabolica, but we'll close that move off. Back in slides again though through the Parabolica. So we're really struggling in this Grand Prix, and we're just dropping backwards. Look at the time that we're losing now on the straight here. We've got DRS, but look at that. Mick Schumacher absolutely flies through. And all of a sudden, we've got one of the Aston Martins there, and I had to cover him off in towards the first corner. Schumacher, though, has a little bit of a moment going into the first chicane, and he doesn't end up making the move. But at the moment, we've gone from starting in P10, moving up to P10, just about holding on to Sergio Perez, to now fighting with the backmarkers. We've got absolutely no pace whatsoever. On lap 5 of the Grand Prix now, through the second Lesmo, we just have zero pace here. And I'm constantly checking the car. I swear I have some form of damage, because at this stage, I just felt like I had no grip, no pace, no nothing. I felt this would be a race, really, where I took a corner cone warning for that, and it didn't really make a difference. But this is a race where I thought, you know, we could try and do something here, as we've got brilliant straight line speed normally. But at the moment, we've got nothing. We've just been overtaken by Mick Schumacher. And there's the rest of the field. We've got George Russell, who's another driver that started out of position in this race. He's right behind us. Now, all of a sudden, we've got to run here on Mick Schumacher on the start-finish rate, which would be good for us. We can get back past him, hopefully. But as you can see now, here comes George Russell, though. He's going to try and go for it, but Schumacher will cover off George Russell and box him in. That gives us the opening to go around the outside of Mick Schumacher, and we're going to retake that position ahead of the Ford driver. But this is not how this race should be panning out. We should not be battling with the Fords and the Aston Martins and the Porsche cars. They should be in their own separate little duel, as we get a horrible run through that chicane there. That, honestly, is one of the chicanes where they've done something in the past few months to that chicane, and it's really hurt this circuit, and it's really hurt the way that I drive this track as well. I loved attacking that chicane. You can't anymore, and it really has derailed my pace around the circuit. But unfortunately for me now, I've got the Audi of George Russell here. Trying to have a look around the outside of Ascari for George Russell. That's not going to happen. We're going to defend the position quite nicely there versus George. And we actually stay on the circuit there. We go super wide now as we get a fantastic helicopter shot here of our car now down the straight here. Russell gaining on us ever so slightly now, you can see, as we go into the Parabolica. Not enough, though, for George to go for a move. But just look at the performance that they've got through the corners versus what we've got. Of course, we do have a car that's weaker in the corners than the rest of the AIs, and then all of a sudden there just goes the straight line speed, the ERS boost, max attack, and I just don't have anything. You see my red light is flashing there. Obviously this car, it's very good in the straight line, but we've got massive ERS problems, and it's been a factor all season long. And yeah, we're just not able to improve it on that area. We've only got 16% of ERS, and as I try and cover off there, one of the Fords, I was busy trying to do too many things at once there. We just, also the Aston Martin actually, we just don't have the performance. And look at this now, all of a sudden on lap 8 here, we're under massive pressure now as we go super wide again. No grip in this car. The battery is absolutely drained to an absolute T, and we're going to get done for here. There goes Oscar Piastri in the Aston Martin. There goes Valtteri Bottas now in the Fords here, and that's it, job done. They're past us, and yeah, we have nothing to fight with on that front here. So this race just continues to get even worse for us here today, and I don't really know what we can try and do. Again, you can see me there checking the vehicle condition, because something just doesn't feel right now. Lap 10 of this Grand Prix, Reese is back at it again, and he's fighting with Lewis Hamilton. Him and Hamilton have been going back and forth a little bit here at the front of the field, and Reese gets that DRS, gets past Reese. Reese gets the DRS and gets past Reese. No, Reese gets the DRS and gets past Lewis Hamilton, and he is back up into the lead of this race. On board now with Sam here, who's got the Mercedes behind him. He can't seem to clear the Mercedes from the DRS here, as they both have actually got past Pierre Gasly, though, of De Vries and Sam. So now they're trying to fight with each other. Gasly gets himself back involved in the act here, so let's see if Gasly can try and salvage something for Renault here today, because it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to salvage anything here. Lap 13 now of the Grand Prix, and we've got a battle here. Stoffel Van Dorn now trying to go for it on Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris looks to have got past Lewis Hamilton as well. These guys have all made their first pit stops of the Grand Prix. You can see that they're on the medium compound tyres, so they've all made their stops. So at the moment, this is just after that area, which means we're actually in front of all these drivers for the time being. Don't get your hopes up just yet. But as you can see, though, Carlos Sainz says, thank you very much. I'll have that place back off of Stoffel Van Dorn, DRS enabled, and it's a comfortable move now as they go into the chicane. Oh no! There's a spin there. It's for Stoffel Van Dorn. He's gone off at the first corner, and he's going to stay there, and that is going to cause a safety car here on lap 14 of the Italian Grand Prix, and that couldn't have come at a better time for a little person in a yellow car, e.g. me, because we can now go ahead and make our pit stop under the safety car, gain a crucial 10 seconds or so versus the rest of the field, and go back into a bunched up formation. We are now on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres, and we're going to the end of the Grand Prix. So if this season was showcasing that we're getting some of the luckiest luck possible in Formula 1, here is another example of that here, because we've had so much luck come our way this season. Quite frankly, I don't know where it's all coming from, but we're getting it. And lap 15 in this Grand Prix, because this safety car is going to come in at the end of lap 17, lap 16, and, well, end of lap 16, here it is. We've got 11, 12 laps now on a fresh set of softs. They will do that with ease as we now get ready to go racing once again here. We've got George Russell in front of us, and I'm trying to find a way to get past George Russell, but I've got to back off a little bit here. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble for overtaking under the safety car. We're back underway then. It's a good start, though. We're side by side with George Russell then. We've got the slipstream now on the Mercedes as we go in towards the first chicane here, but unfortunately for me, I'm trying to wait for Russell to make some sort of move happen. Russell dives it down the inside of about 2 or 3 cars. We'll dive it down the inside of a couple of cars ourselves. Sam takes a bumpy line there through the chicane, but we've got past him and up into 10th place, and we're into the points now in this Italian Grand Prix, something I wasn't expecting before this safety car came out. But as we now make our way down in towards the second chicane here, can we try and make another move here? We're going to go for it though, on a very audacious attempt here on the Mercedes, but it works beautifully in our favour, and we are through and up now into 9th place here. But unfortunately, that attack on the Mercedes has left me in a bit of trouble here, because now all of a sudden the front runners are unfortunately separated from me again now. So I've got to try and press onwards. We've got a yellow flag though in the background there, so something's gone wrong. There's been a little bit of damage potentially for one of the cars, and it's our teammate Pierre Gasly's out of the race, and that's another safety car that's come out here. So 2 safety cars in very quick succession have just been deployed now, and this is why then. So Gasly making his run now. He's under pressure from the Mercedes, and there's a bit of contact there, but he was out. Oh, and that's why he's been absolutely rammed there by one of the Aston Martins. That's Oscar Piastri here, and yeah, oh, he's got hit by the Ford as well and all that. And Jesus, that was like literally a train hitting a car on a railway track. That was absolutely insane that Aston Martin isn't out. But that means now lap 20 of the Grand Prix, we're back where we started again. We're now currently waiting to find a way past the Audi of George Russell. And we're going to go for it once again now. 9th place here in this Grand Prix. We are green flag once again then. So let's get on with this race then. Russell is going to do the exact same thing. He's covering that inside line, which traditionally means now that he's going to brake super late here and just dive it on a bunch of cars. And I will follow suit here as we go into the chicane now. And we get past Daniel Ricciardo here, ran the outside. Lovely move there on the Australian there. And we're now up into 8th place in this Grand Prix. We're pressing now through the curve of Grande. Ricciardo's got a very nice run here, but we're actually going to use a little bit more battery to try and stay in front of the Aussie. And it's worked quite nicely in our favour, and we've got Verstappen in front. But this time around, I'm not going to go for an audacious outside line manoeuvre. At the end of the day, I need to make sure that I'm in the fight later on here as well. On to lap 22 of the Grand Prix. There's some battling going on between the Ferraris up ahead here, but unfortunately, we get a very bad run through Ascari, and we back end slides a little bit there. Ricciardo tries to go to the inside line, can't get that one done. Now we'll go to the outside line for the second part of the straight here, down in towards Parabolica, side by side, close action. Ricciardo though backs out of it, and now he's got the Mercedes all over the back of him here, and we now need to try and get on with it and get back up to the front runners. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck in a slipstream and DRS train with drivers that we don't want to be with here, as Sam now has a little look here on the Mercedes, who's also going to have a look at Ricciardo. Ricciardo's trying to have a little look at me here going into the first corner. He's going to try it now into the first chicane, but unfortunately for him, he hasn't made it stick, and Perez there is now trying to fight off Sam here in this race, and he does just that, as there's a little bit of a yellow flag there, and that's for an earlier incident here. Lap 23 of the Grand Prix, Reese leads, Lando Norris is second, but Lando fancies a run here on Reese now as they go into the first chicane. Here comes Lando Norris now, tries to go to the outside, then goes towards the inside, tries to move every position on the circuit possible, but he doesn't make it stick, and now the 2 Ferraris are scrapping with each other. Sainz and Hamilton fancying a little bit of a battle here, so all of a sudden, we've now got a breakaway here, where Lando Norris and Reese are pushing on with themselves in a fight for victory. There they go, and now the battle for the final podium spot consists of Sainz Leclerc, Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton is there as well. He's fighting away. Hamilton now back up into P3, lap 24 of the Grand Prix now as we go in towards Ascari here. Here comes Carlos Sainz now trying to make a run here on Lewis Hamilton in towards the Ascari chicane. That was really easy. Wow, that is a little bit of probably Ferrari team orders there saying you can battle, but don't battle too hard here, and that's allowing us there to just try and reclose the gap after we lost out to these drivers earlier on with our battles here. They're going to go 3 wide now through Parabolica. That can't go well. Leclerc trying to have a look on the 2 Ferraris, but he just had to back out of it there. Hamilton goes around the outside, and he'll be okay with that one, but unfortunately, one man's not going to have DRS, and they are not going to be okay, and that's Lewis Hamilton now. He's going to get mugged here on the straight now. Leclerc's trying to go for it here. Look at them all trying to fight for position here down the straight. Russell has now got past Hamilton. Leclerc, though, goes side by side with Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc here should effectively snatch himself up into P3, and he does so here. But for us, though, we're also going to pass Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's just lost 5 places in the span of a straight, and also the first chicane here. Leclerc and Sainz now still going side by side, but we're in the fray now. Have a look at Verstappen. Down the inside we go. Oh, Max Verstappen. It's a lovely move there from ourselves versus Verstappen, and we're up into 6th place now in this Grand Prix. A podium is a potential here for us at the Italian Grand Prix, but we've got to make sure that we get through these sectional corners, and that's a fantastic run through the second Lesmo. Now George Russell is in our sights here, but we've got the DRS, but we don't quite have enough battery to really go for a move here. But all of a sudden, we've got Sainz though trying to come back at Leclerc here, and that's super close between the pair of them. We'll have Russell though, and that's us up into 5th place now in this Grand Prix. Next up is Carlos Sainz straight ahead now, but Russell will use a little bit of that ERS. That's exactly what he's doing now, to go for it into the Parabolica. Round the outside though, we'll try and defend the position as much as we can, and crucially, our soft compound tyres are giving us an opportunity to scrap with these drivers here, but we're unfortunately again low. The battery is going low, and we're going to fortunately lose out on some straight line speeds, and that is going to be enough to give Max Verstappen and George Russell an opportunity to just breeze past us. I can't find a way through, and unfortunately I have to settle back down into 8th place, I think it is, in this race now, because we've lost out with that ERS there here on lap 26 now, so we press onwards in this Grand Prix. Verstappen though doesn't get a great run through the curve of Grande. We'll fight back against him. Russell now is somebody that I also want to fight back against as well, but I just can't find a way through, so I'll box in Verstappen and then make the move on Max there. Max takes a little bit of a bump over the curve. We lose a little bit of time there, and that is not the best thing that we could possibly ask for. This is what it looked like on board though. A lot of times I just show the replay cameras and leave it at that. I just wanted to show you guys what it looked like on board, because it was pretty hectic actually seeing it. So you can see we were using the battery. We were only on 5% here as we came up to the start finish line, but this is just what it felt like this is what it looked like in the car. It was really frustrating as everyone came on through. Now I could have gone for it and sent it at the inside here, but it just wouldn't have been right. I just don't feel like I would have been able to have been late on the brakes and actually made it stick in that particular position. But this is how we actually got the run of Verstappen here. So Max was cut to the inside of the corner for the second part of the chicane, and every time they go on the exit there, they just don't get the speed, and now all of a sudden it's actually me that's boxed in at this point here. So this is a very risky move. I thought Max might just send it here on George Russell, but he doesn't, and I have to brake at the exact point, and a little bit of contact was made there with George Russell, but in the end it was absolutely fine. But it made nothing here, because on lap 26 going through the Ascari chicane, Verstappen gets back in front here now, and all of a sudden the battle for a podium just seems a little bit too far-fetched now, because Verstappen here has got back past us for 7th place. So it looks like we're only going to be fighting for potentially only P6 here, but we try and give Verstappen a little bit of an unsettled run through the Parabolica, and that seems to have worked quite nicely now. On the start finish straight here now, DRS is going to go wide open here for us now as we go onto the pit straight here. Now we're closing on Verstappen, going to go to the outside line for this chicane. Let's see if we can make this one stick. Late braking, round the outside here on Verstappen. The move is done, and we're back up into 6th place. But this final lap is when the AIs will be using every inch of their battery, as is one man up front here. It is Reese versus Lando Norris. This is when they cross the line to start the final lap of this race. Reese now goes for the move here on Lando Norris. Reese takes the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. He's been battling with Lewis Hamilton all race long at the front, and then when the safety car came out and the second stint played its part, Reese has been fighting with Lando Norris. He takes the lead, and let's see if he can carry that all the way to the checkered flag. But for us though, we need to focus on ourselves here now as we enter this final lap, because it's going to get very, very difficult indeed. And it's going to get difficult because that chicane right there, you can see, just derailed a bit of our momentum. But these soft compound tyres still have a little bit of edge in them. With those 2 safety cars, it's allowed us a little bit more life in these tyres, so we'll just push them as hard as we can. And you can see we're really pushing them now to their absolute limits here. Now we'll dump all of the battery on this straight because they've got DRS here. Here comes Verstappen now in towards the Ascari. I've got to defend this one. Brake nice and late. Absolutely perfect from us there to get through Ascari through one piece. Fantastic run through there. Now we can go ahead and dump the rest of the battery on this straight. Verstappen will close on us once again though to try and get a run here down in towards the last corner, but but we should have enough in hand. Reese goes ahead, takes the fastest lap of the race and wins the Italian Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz though takes the fastest lap to take that away from him. We come across the line to finish in 6th place here at the Italian Grand Prix, and considering where we were at the start of the race before our pit stop, that set of safety cars really saved us massively, and we were able to capitalize on those and go ahead and get ourselves crucial points in the World Championship. But Reese beat Lando Norris by 0.2 of a second, with Carlos Sainz finishing in 3rd, 5.6 seconds back in the end, with Charles Leclerc, 5.9 seconds back. So Leclerc there really did get close to Carlos Sainz and getting that podium, but he didn't make it stick. George Russell finishes in 5th for Audi. It's a brilliant result actually for Audi here today. We managed to cross the line in P6 with Verstappen 7th for Jaguar. Lewis Hamilton on the front row of the grid to start the race, only good enough for 8th. Sam, a very difficult Grand Prix for him once again, finishes in 9th place, and Sergio Perez finishes in 10th place for Mercedes. Carlos Sainz, as we saw, got that fastest lap right at the end, and he goes home with an extra point to his name. Looking at the second half of the table, Nick de Vries misses out on some points, with Mick Schumacher finishing in 12th in this race. Daniel Ricciardo only 13th. It was a bad day for him today. Callum Ilott 14th for Ford. Stoff Van Dorn 15th for Red Bull. He was the man that caused the safety car thanks to his spin at the first chicane. Nico Hülkenberg finishes in 16th place for Porsche, with Robert Schwartzman coming in 17th place, and then it was Piastri, Bottas and Gasly were the 3 drivers to all DNF. So despite the fact that Piastri went straight into the side of Pierre Gasly, it looks like his race was run and done shortly there afterwards. Taking a look then at the Drivers' Championship to see how that's unfolded now after the Italian Grand Prix, you can see that we are still in the lead of the World Drivers' Championship and have been for the majority of this season. But of course, we've been very fortunate with a lot of races. We really are just absolutely outperforming where we really should be in the championship. We're on 190 points. The gap though at the top of the championship has been cut. It's now 175 points in Charles Leclerc's name, meaning he is just 15 points back at the top. Reese now is on 152 points as he moves in front of Lando Norris in the championship. So that battle between the two of them was the key moment in the championship, because they would have either had Norris win the race and stay 3rd and close the gap even more, or Reese finishing in P4, and that meant that he would have lost even more points. Crucially, Reese comes out on top. Sam is 5th in the championship on 114 points, with Lewis Hamilton 6th on 104 points. Stoff Van Dorn and Carlos Sainz share the owns of 73 points between them, with Max Verstappen on 57 points, and George Russell moves up into the top 10 of the championship on 55 points, with the next race being the Formula 1 Belgian Grand Prix. Taking a look at the Constructors' Championship then, the Renault still lead the way ahead of Audi, but they're only 14 points clear at the top of the Constructors. It is very close and very tight between the top 6 teams, as you can see Jaguar are on 204 points making progress. McLaren are on 202 points. Red Bull, despite the fact that they had a very poor race and only scored 2 points with Sam, that proved to be critical because both Jaguar and McLaren have leapfrogged them in the Constructors' Championship, showcasing if one team has a bad weekend, then you will be usurped by multiple other teams. And Ferrari are still 6th in the championship on 177 points. Mercedes add a point to their tally. They're on 56 points in 7th in the championship, pretty much solidified that now. And then it is Ford, Aston Martin and Porsche that round off the 10 teams in the Constructors' Championship. Now, let's get straight into the post-race notebook and see what the teams and drivers had to say after the Italian Grand Prix. Taking a look then at the post-race notebook, and it was Reese that beat Lando Norris to the Italian Grand Prix win by just 0.2 of a second in a very closely fought battle between the two drivers. Carlos Sainz claimed P3 for Ferrari at their home race and gave them something to celebrate, meaning that at both races in Italy this year, Ferrari did at least get a car on the podium, which is something that the Tifosi will be happy about. Tom was happy to fight back and secure himself a very good haul of points thanks to some lucky safety cars. Tom was left in the complete nowhere after his first stint on the medium compound tyres left him with no chance of scoring points. The first safety car came out and allowed him to pit for the soft compound tyres and get straight onto the back of the pack and start fighting. Once he then lost DRS from the drivers in front thanks to his fighting his way through the field, yet another safety car came out, allowing him to go through and make up more positions. Stoffel Vandoorne was apologising to his team after the Grand Prix after his spin was a costly error that forced the first safety car to come out and crucially cost Red Bull dearly in the Constructors' Championship. Of course, we've still got a massive fight between 6 teams for the Constructors' Championship and Red Bull are very much in the hunt, but errors like that from Vandoorne cannot happen and it will allow the other teams to make their way through and ahead of them in the championship. Lando Norris was also very frustrated after missing out on the Italian Grand Prix victory thanks to a slight issue with his ERS. Lando Norris admitted that he accidentally left his ERS on overtake mode during a section of the circuit in which he didn't need the battery to be enabled in the first place. This meant that he didn't have enough battery to go ahead and attack Reese on the final lap as he would have wanted, thus costing him an opportunity to go for it for the win of the Italian Grand Prix. But that is it here from the Temple of Speed. Next time around, we're off to the hills in the forest of Belgium for the Spa-Francorchamps race, and we will see you guys then. Take care all.